This is Irontrader, last call of the day here. So we'll take a look at Bitcoin, gold, silver, crude oil, natural gas. So we'll take a look here at the indexes, which are pretty much all red today, but maybe we get a turnaround Tuesday. Okay, at the end of the video, the support and resistance levels are posted for crude and natural gas. This video is for information purposes only, not a recommendation of advice on stock market ETF. Please like, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Here we have Bitcoin, daily, weekly chart. Now you can see it came all the way down, sold here, and put like a bottoming tail in there at 114,925 level. What we're watching is this, the left of the chart here is 14,685. It never quite made it there, but we could have a possible double bottom situation. However, if this 14,685 is lost, then we want to come right to the bottom there at 14,300. We come there at 113,860. And then we have 113,440. Then we have your nice retest there at 113,45 with the 50 days right above that at 113,379. That is your downside. So when the futures open again today at 6 o'clock, we always want to trade against today's candle, that high at 118,350 and the bottom 114,925. Now, if this can keep right on rallying, what we can do here, we look at the bottom of that candle, you look at 116,295. We look at Friday's low, 117,175, and then we'll come right up there, 116,610 level. But this is what we're looking for to get right back above it, is this 21-day at 117,890, and we want to get above that 8-day simple moving average at 118,954. If we can do that, then we'll come to Friday's high. You're looking at 119,810. We'll come to the top of this candle. You're looking at 120,755. Then we want to always look to the left of the chart. This is going to be very, very key level, 121,255, because this was that sideways consolidation, and that was the high. And then what we can do is we can move right up to the top of this candle. You're looking at 122,955. And then we want to watch this candle right here, 123,615, because this was where we had the double top situation. Then we can come up there. You're looking at 123,755 and then 125,200. Now, when we were down here, we had left shoulder, head, right shoulder. I said we do a little flip ski over. That would play out to about 125.5. It came in at 125,200. But just again, when you do those numbers, when you're dealing up this high, this isn't a $10 stock or $5 stock. Okay, so you got to give it a little rhythm, as they say. Okay, now we cracked that 125,200. You're going to hit that 130, probably be 135 level. But again, right now, what we're looking at is that 21-day on the upside, getting back above that and getting back above that 8-day. Now, it was a really good scalping, BITX. Really good scalping in that today. It got as low as 58.79. I didn't get there. I got in at 59 flat, and this guy has got as high as 60.90. Okay, and I got out of that at 60.50. So that was a good $1.50 on that BITX. Very, very nice trading going on here in the Bitcoin. Okay, so there's always opportunity, but a lot of times when you see the sell-off, doesn't mean you have to say, oh, it's going to go way on down. We don't know where it's going to go. That's the key is. That's why we trade the charts. You always want to look to the left of the chart. It never made it there quite to that bottom, to that support level, and it obviously didn't make it to that 50 SMA. So we got to see how this is all going to shake up over time. Now, you can see your RSI. We had this negative divergence. High, lower high, high, higher high. See that negative divergence? Always pay attention to it. Now, I'm not saying that's the one all be all, but that's always like your first red flag, and then we add up the rest of it together, kind of a situation where you have this big ass red candle. We had a topping tail. Well, it tells you, you could get. I don't get short on Bitcoin. I'm just trading this from the long side. Now, your RSI or your MACD, I should say, is your green is below your red because obviously we had that sell down. But let's just see how this shakes out here. Maybe we can get back above that 21-day and that 8-day and rally that bad boy higher. Now, by Friday, we're watching this 8-day. Now, you can see we've got lower than that today, but that don't mean dick, okay? As long as we're holding this by Friday, that 116,345, we're looking very, very good. And look how many times that has held in the past. Very nice. Now, if we lose that, you want to go top of that candle, 112,345. You want to come top of there, 110,150. And then we go on top of that candle, 108,960, and then we have your 105,791. So you always put the weekly side by side, and a lot of times what I'll do is a daily, weekly, and a monthly all together. Now you can see the RSI is very, very strong, and then she's just coming off here a little bit. The green is still over your red, so let's just see how this shakes out. But look at this chart, okay? Bottom left, upper right. She's a beaut, Clark, is a real beaut, okay? So again, watch this candle, watch the high and the low of today, and then watch that 21-day, then watch that 8-day. We keep losing that, say we can't get through it, then you want to watch the bottom of that candle. We lose that, we can come down to the retest and maybe even at 50 SMA here. Okay, let's take a look here now at gold and silver. Here we have gold and silver, and realistically, it's like watching paint dry. There is nothing here. Now, we had this rally up, and where to go with this? I say this is why you trade the charts. Went above the 21-day, but you notice I couldn't close it. So now we're just hanging right on to this 50 SMA. 1, 2, 3. This is the fourth time. So what we're really watching on the downside is that 33.73. That's your 50-day. Then we come down to today's low, which was, what do we have for a low there today? It's 33.68. Then we can venture down to the bottom there at 33.31, 33.24 level. Then we have their 100-day, 33.18. And then we retest there at 3,300, which is basically the bottom of the candle. But right now we have a sideways action. Okay, that's what we have now. This here could be considered a bear flag, but it's really dragging out. So just be a little bit careful if you're trading the gold. Now, upside right there, we're watching at 33.96. That's going to be key. And then 34.10. Okay, your 21-day and your 8-day. Now get above it, then we'll come right there at 34.23 level. Come right to the bottom of that candle. You're looking at 34.45, and we'll come to the top of that candle at that 34.66 level, and you could venture all the way up to 35.34. The key is what you always want to watch, Joe, is the tops of all of these, okay? So you want to watch that top there, that's big resistance, 34.51. You want to watch that 34.76, and then this is the key. This is that 35.09, which could not hold. All right, so we blasted all the way on up here because we're talking about tariffs on gold and silver. It makes no sense to a guy like me, but as I say, and then she just came right on off, but it could not hold this 35.09, and that's the key. That was your double top situation, and now we have sideways action. RSI, well, we're just sitting here, 48. That's not going. That's not overbought or oversold. The green is below your red because we had a little bit of momentum to the downside, but it's really no big worries. The chart itself is still very, very bullish. Bottom left, upper right, series of higher lows, higher highs. Still very, very bullish chart, right? But patient. For me, I'm going to wait till it closes above the 21-day, actually above that 8-day. Once it closes above the 8-day, then I would take the trade, and we could possibly hit that retest 34 level. Okay, silver. All right, now I only trade this again from the long side, but for me, there was just no trade here. Okay, it zipped all the way up. Now we have an indecision candle. You notice that I couldn't close it. This is your upside, 38, roughly 16. You got to get above that, and we have to get above that 38.20. If you can, then we come to today's high at that 34 level. But realistically, this is the level that we're watching right here. Okay, see this? 1, 2, 3. You go look at there, 4, 5 times. See? That's what we're watching. That is going to be your big, big resistant level. Now, you really have to close back above that top of that candle, 38.87, for it to go higher. If you do, and we just follow candles, we got 39.02, we have 39.52, 39.66, and the retest 39.91. But right here is very, very strong resistance because how many times that it held it right there in the past, okay? But watch that 8-day, 21-day on a closing basis. Now, downside, today's low, 37.83. Yeah, Friday's low, 37.72, and then we have that 50-day at that 37.47. That's going to be very, very strong resistance, okay, support level, okay? Now, if we start losing all that, we come down to the bottom there. You're looking at 36.80 level, 38.76 level, 36.40, and then we come down to your retest at 36.28. Okay, so a lot of good support level, but just watch that 50-day. If it does come down there, it should be, hold it. Now, sideways action until we can get back above that 8-day, 21-day, and this key level at that 38.87. You can see just flat ski, sideways action, green below your red, but it's not really doing anything. This is like watching paint dry kind of a situation. Okay, let's take a look at crude oil on a daily chart. All right, P-Man, he met with Putin last week, had a good meeting. They're still trying to work it out. He met with Zelensky today. That's also went to a very, very good meeting. And we got to see how that's going to shake out. I can see where oil's up just a little bit there today. It's trying to work it. But again, very, very strong resistant level. So let's just take a look and see what's going on with the charts. So we made a low. We're trying to hold this key 61.94. Today we got a low all the way down there at that 61.45 level. Okay. Now your next level of support is going to be right to the bottom there, is 61.06 if we start going right down the downside. And then we want to look to the bottom of that candle, 60.55. And then we want to watch this here, 59.74. That was at the recent low of this sideways action. Okay, that's going to be very, very critical on a closing basis, 59.74. Now, if we start losing all of that, okay, then we just venture ourselves all the way down. Okay, so you can come all the way to the left here. You got 58.76 level kind of situation. Come down here, we have 57.74. Come down there, you have 57.03, and then we have 56.39, and then we have 55.30, and then your big retest is 55.12. So I wanted to show you the big picture of exactly what is going on. Now, on the upside, you can see we still have this downtrending situation, and we're below that key 8-day moving average. Okay, so you can see here, it just can't seem to get through. It popped through, but it just can't seem to hold it. So this is what you're watching, 63.35. That's going to be very, very critical. If not, we get above that, then we come up to the 64.15 area. But look how many times that it's been hitting this very, very strong resistance before we hit the 100-day at that 64.67. You get above that, well, you got obviously got your 21-day 65.41, 66.75, and then we have your 200-day at 67.65. We get above that, well, then we can come down to the bottom of that candle. You're looking at 68.56 level, come to the top there. You're looking at 69.58, and then we have your retest there at 70.51. But right here, we had this nice inverse head and shoulder. See, left shoulder, head, right shoulder. I said we do a flip ski on that. I'm going to go to this 200-day, which we did right there. This was that war premium. Okay, so right now, if we have like a war premium or hurricane premium, that could take it right on up. Now we had this hurricane, but it did not go into the Gulf. Okay, so the ports weren't closed down. The rigs weren't closed down. If you close down the rigs and the ports, that's going to affect crude oil, natural gas, and gasoline. It did not do that. Gasoline now, where I am, is below $3 a gallon. Okay, so you're sitting about $2.98 a gallon, which is good. That's exactly what you want. Big glut going on in the oil markets. Okay, now if they make a deal with Putin, Putin's going to say, hey, I want to start pumping oil now. T-Man came out and he doesn't want India buying oil from Putin because he's trying to use this as leverage. So always remember that. So if they get a deal worked out, then Putin will be putting on oil. Saudi Arabia will be putting on oil. I can't see where oil is going to be spiking up to $70, $80. I don't see it happening. I think you're going to be right down and retest this 50 area here over time. So we got to see how that shakes out. But again, on the upside, watch that 8-day. That's going to be very, very critical. Get above it, watch the 64 area, and then watch that 64.57, that 100-day. But you have everything. You have prices below all your simple moving average. Not good. RSI, that's nowhere near oversold. This MACD is not oversold. So this has a lot of room to go to the downside, but we need a catalyst if it's going to go to the upside. All right, let's take a look here now at natural gas. Here we have natural gas. Now, you can see the downtrending situation. See, when you big up the chart, see how the downtrending situation. Now, we're holding this key 276 level, which is good. We'll take a look at the upside here first. This 8-day is going to be everything on a closing basis. You have to get it back above that 291. Okay, and if we can, then we're going to attack that 21-day at 303. Okay, then we got to see what the reaction is going to be. If we can get above that, we just look right there at 310. We'll come up there, looking at roughly 315. And then we have a 318 level. We have a 326 level. And then we're going to come to that 50-day at 333, 342, and then 349. Okay, but again, it's going to need a catalyst to do that. All right, so downside. All right, here we have. We gotta hold this 2.76 level. That's going to be very, very key. If not, here's going to be your target right here. See the bottom of that candle? See that? That's going to be 268. That's what you're going to be looking for. Now, next line right there, you're looking at 264 level. Okay, and then what we do is we come to the top of that. Okay, you're looking at 257, kind of a level going on there. We have right there at 244, and then we can come to the bottom of this candle, looking at 226, and then we have a nice big retest down there at 221. We fall off the market here. We're going to go down to like that low of 187. Okay, so what you can see it much clearer. I know I put the side-by-side charts here, your crude and natural gas, to try to make it easier, you know. So I'm not sitting here talking for 2 hours. But sometimes you got to just look at the overall big chart of a situation. But you can see the downtrending situation on this chart. Now, we had a really good uptrend, high, higher high, higher high, higher high, and then we had a series of nice higher highs and higher lows here. Now, but see this candle right there? See that topping tail? And then that just sent that bad boy right into a tizzy. Okay, downtrending. Nothing here that's bullish. Prices below all your simple moving averages, the same way as on Crude. We're down here at 39. That is nowhere near oversold. And you can see on the MACD, we are not oversold here on the MACD either. So this could go much lower. So always remember that 276, that's going to be key on the downside. The 8-day, okay, 291, and that 21-day on the upside. Very, very key. If not, always just look to the left of the chart. All your support levels are just sitting right here. See? Easy peasy. Okay, let's take a look here now at the indexes. Here we have the Dow, S&P, NASDAQ. Now, looks like the S&P and NASDAQ are turning a little bit of green here. We got to see. Now, the Dow really had a really good, nice spike up, but you notice that it couldn't hold it. See how we finish up? It was a red candle. Okay, we could not hold that. That's the key. Now what we'll do is we're selling off a little bit. So upside, you want to watch, obviously, is the top of that candle, 45,116. And then we want to watch that high at 45,203. You crack above that, you could go 45.5. You could go 46,000. I mean, we don't know exactly. You could use Fibonacci's and you could get yourself pretty close. But again, I just think we'd have a trader's market. Now, just remember, this time of the month, this end of August, September, October, very, very fickle. Okay, so use stops. Now, I played, if you watch my video on the first call this morning, then you know I put a guy by the name of Peter Tuchman. They call him Einstein. And he's telling you about using stops. This guy's been on the trading floor for as long as I can remember, and I've been doing this over 2.5 decades. He's one of the very few guys that I listen to because the guy is right there. He knows stocks. He knows how to trade. That's the key to this guy, okay? So watch that video. Just watch it. It's only 1 minute. At the end of the video, a little Peter Tuchman, a little Einstein. Now, we keep on selling down. We're going to come right down to the bottom. You're looking at 44.90. We have this another gap. 44,571. We have the fill, 44,497. We have that 8-day. We have the 21-day. We come down here. You got the 50-day. We got a gap, fill, 200-day. A lot of stuff on the downside situation. We had this negative divergence. It tried to rally on up, and it just couldn't do it. Kind of a situation, but we got to see. The green is still over your red because we had a nice little push up, but let's see how that shakes out, like, say, on turnaround Tuesday. Now, overbought situation. We have negative divergence going on here. See, high, higher high, high, lower high. So watch this. Downside, watch that 8-day, watch that 21-day. We lose it, we have the 50-day. Okay, we have the 6212, the price channel. We have the gap, we got the fill, we got the 200-day, we have the 100-day. Now, again, if now Powell is in Jackson Hole, and I really highly doubt if he's going to start cutting rates when he sees this inflation going higher. I mean, that would not be a good thing to do at all, okay? Because then eventually he's going to have to raise rates to try to counter that, okay? You can't be cutting rates when inflation is going up. So I don't think he's going to cut. So that's going to be a very, very problem. I see if the market sees this, I think you could get yourself a good anywhere from 10, 15, maybe even a 20% correction going on here. So keep money, cash on the side, ready to buy so we can go buy that into the end of the year. All right. Now, on the upside, we can get back at above that 64.81. Then you can go, obviously, 65, 66, and all the way to 6,700. Very, very easy. But just watch that negative divergence. All right. NASDAQ, same thing. We have this negative divergence going on, and we have this high 21,803. Now, we crack above that. You can go 22,000. You go 23,000. You go 24,000. I mean, you have no idea. So just trade the market until it tells you not to. Right. Now, downside, 21,554, 8-day. Watch that. Watch this 21-day. Very, very key. And then watch the 50-day. We have a gap and fill all the way down here. And then we have a 100-day and 200-day all the way down to the 19,000 range. Okay. But watch that negative divergence. See how it plays out. Again, just trade this market. Just do yourself a favor. Trade it. This is not the time they say, I want to buy and hold. I'm looking for the future. Nah, it's all bullshit. Okay. You can be able to buy eventually much, much lower than what we got here. All right, that's what I got. I'll be back here tomorrow morning, and we're going to do it all over again. Trade what's in front of you, not what you want.